This horse has proven beyond any reasonable doubt, National Park, that he's one of the serious horses of his generation. And now he steps up another 200 meters, but the way in which he won the Guineas gives you every confidence that this is right within his scope.
Yeah, for sure. Look, obviously you do need a little bit of luck, but at the same token, you can't just bring anything up here because it is a major centre, and we are pretty much a minor centre, everyone knows. The horses we've brought up here have been the best we've had probably at the time in Port Elizabeth. That's why we brought them here, and we've had our luck when we've got here. Now, this horse is probably the best we've had since Copper Parade. Obviously different distances, different style of racing, but he's a very smart sort. We brought him up for the BECK, and it was a tester for him, and he came through with flying colours. As everyone knows, I mean, he had his excuses his next start. He put all that to bed with his last race. I mean, he was very impressive. I have no problem with the distance. Things have gone well so far up here. We had a little bit of a hiccup in his second week here, but nothing too serious. It was minor. He's come through okay, and yeah, looking forward to the weekend.
Watching him work the other morning when it was impossible to work on the grass, you elected to go on the sand, and he was definitely more than workmanlike.
Yeah, he doesn't overdo anything. I think even if you stick him with anything, even at home, I mean, he just does enough to stay with his partner. And we found that when we brought him up here earlier and we worked him on the grass, he doesn't overly impress, especially if you sprint him. I mean, he wouldn't be worth 2 bob as a sprinter. So, but yeah, he does what you ask him, and I suppose that's all you can ask for. It's ideal.
One of Bernard Cantor's favourite words is myopic, and it's akin to the thought process behind parochialism. Horses don't know where they come from. Bold Silvano didn't know, Lizard's Desire didn't know, even Big City Life when he went to PE and won the RA handicap. They don't care where they go. They just know that they're as good as God made them. And this clearly is the case with National Park.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if you're a racehorse, you're a racehorse. Doesn't matter where you come from, as simple as that, you know. They can come from anywhere, any province. If you've got talent, you've got talent. And it's just, I suppose it's up to the team behind them to try and get the best out of them. And we've been fortunate. He hasn't been the most difficult. He's been pretty straightforward. So, yeah, we've been very lucky with this horse. Unfortunately, well, or fortunately rather, he's going to be the proverbial underdog coming from Port Elizabeth, which isn't a bad thing. So there's not an enormous amount of pressure on him, probably from the owner's side, but from the outside, not really. He's done everything we've asked of him, and we can only ask him to keep on improving. You
alluded to the fact that he had a couple of issues in the Dingaans, and that had to do with his draw and the way in which he had to be ridden. Run us by that.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for Ryan. He was drawn out wide, and he's the type of horse, he does sleep in a race, but if you do set him alight, he's all systems go. And Ryan tried to get him a little bit handy, and unfortunately he got into top gear, and you know, he just worked too hard. It was one of those things. He had a plum draw last time. It all went perfect for him. Richard gave him a lovely smooth ride, and by his own admission, he probably got there a little bit too early. So he said he doesn't pull in a race at all. He travels nicely, and when you ask him, like I said, you set him alight, he's on his way. So we can only hope for a similar kind of run. I mean, it's not a bad draw this time. It's just a small field. It's immaterial really. But yeah, like you say, I think if he'd have been stationed up here from the word go, he'd have probably been a bit of a shorter price. He's had to do the long miles. I don't know which he'd rather have, long miles or a wide draw. There can't be a lot in it. So he's done everything he's been asked of him.